Welcome back. All right, so before we get into tonight's games, there's 5 games on the schedule. I want to talk about the standings. Now, we're 2 months into the season. We're a few days past 2 months into the season. I did want to do this on, I believe Sunday was the 10th. I wanted to. I did not have the time to put this together and do the video and to make sure it got the attention it deserved. So, the standings over the last month have gone through some changes. I wanted to talk about how teams are doing in December as well. So, East, West, here we are. It's clear there's going to be some good teams that miss the playoffs in the East, and it's pretty clear there could be a surprise team in the West that makes the playoffs this year, although there are some teams below the line that maybe, right, maybe. So, Boston tops the Atlantic Division, 18-5-3 overall. They have 39 points in 28 games. Their points percentage, 750. So, lower than where it was a month ago, but still very, very good. They're 3-1 in the month of December. So, despite the loss against Buffalo, as ugly as that was, they've won their other 3 games this month. Florida, 28 games played as well. They have 36 points. They're 17-9-2. So they lost out on an opportunity last night to get within 1 point of the Boston Bruins. They have a 643 points percentage, and they're 3-2 in the month of December. So for Florida, they're in Vancouver tomorrow. We'll see how things go. Vancouver and Florida in similar spots here. Then you've got Toronto, 26 games, 15-6-5, 35 points. So 2 points behind Boston, 4 points behind Boston, but everybody talks about regulation wins. Sorry. Their points percentage, 673. They're 3-0-2 in their they're 3-0-2 in the month of December, sorry. So yeah, your top 3 teams in this division are the ones that a lot of us expected, although not necessarily in the order that it was expected to be. But we'll see if it stays that way. We'll see if Boston stays at the top or if Florida or Toronto are able to catch them. Then we get to the Metro. The Rangers enjoying a 6-point lead over their second place team. They in Vegas have the biggest cushions as the top team in their division. 27 games, 19-7-1 record for 39 points. 722 points percentage. So points percentage-wise, they're actually behind Boston now. And they're 3-3 in the month of December. It's that every team goes through that period where they have trouble getting wins. I'm not worried about the Rangers. The New York Islanders are second, 27 games, 13-7-7 record, 33 points, 611 points percentage, and they've been better lately. 4-0-1 in the month of December, so they're picking it up after a rough first month and about a rough 6 weeks, really, to start the season. The Philadelphia Flyers, 28 games played, 15-10-3 record, 33 points, 589 is their points percentage. They're 4-0-1 in December as well. So Philadelphia is playing really well. It's going to be tough to bump them out of a playoff spot if they keep this up, which it's going to be interesting to see which teams that are below the playoff line who are seen as cup favorites ends up not making it. So Detroit, 28 games, 15-9-4 record, 34 points, 607 points percentage. They're 3-2-1 in the month of December. Got a coach fired last night in St. Louis. So we'll see how things go with Detroit from here. But again, if they can be, a game above 500 in every 6 games, you're making the playoffs. Very hard not to make the playoffs if you're, racking up enough points like that. For the Capitals, 25 games, 14-8-3 record, 31 points, 620 points percentage. So points percentage-wise, they're ahead of anybody in their division who's not the New York Rangers. But they're 2-2-1 in the month of December, and it feels like for Washington it started to fall off. Although they are wildly inconsistent and hard to predict, so we'll see whether or not the Washington Capitals stay above the line. The top team below the line with 31 points in 28 games is Carolina. 15-12-1 overall, 554 points percentage. We have talked about Carolina plenty recently. They're 2-4 in the month of December. That Western Canadian swing, the less said about it, the better if you're Carolina. And you move on and hope to build your way back up the standings. But again, it gets difficult when the top 3 teams in this division are hard to catch. They're 8 points behind the New York Rangers and have played the 1 extra game. And the Islanders and the Flyers need to start losing games in regulation for Carolina to catch them. Then you have Tampa. Tampa's fascinating. They're 13-12-5, 31 points in 30 games. That game against Vancouver last night. Now, Demko played well. But yeah, Tampa Bay just didn't find a way. They have a 517 points percentage. They're 3-3 in the month of December. If they keep playing 500 hockey, 1 up, 1 down, it's hard to argue that they end up in the playoffs because right behind them is a team with a better points percentage than the New Jersey Devils. The Devils, 26 games, 14-11-1 record, 29 points. 558 points percentage. They're 3-2 in the month of December, so they had their tough patch, and they seem to be getting it together. So Carolina and New Jersey, a lot of people are going to expect them to jump up. The expectation, I think, would be that Philadelphia and the Capitals may end up being the teams that fall out because of that. Toronto does have a better points percentage than almost Detroit has a better points percentage than almost everybody else in this area. So other than the Caps. But again, the Caps have started to maybe show some signs they're going to fall off. We'll see. Pittsburgh, they have a 500 record. 12-12-3. 27 points in 27 games. That's the meaning of 500. So if you see 83 points in 82 games, that's one game above 500. And I understand, like, true 500 and all this, but there you are. Pittsburgh, 1-2-2 in the month of December, but they got a win last night. Now they're going for another win tonight. If they can start racking them up, then they're going to be putting pressure on teams in the playoffs too. And then you get into the 4 teams that are going to be expected not to make it. But Montreal's right there points-wise. 28 games, 12-13-3 record, so 27 points. 482 points percentage. They're 2-2-1 in the month of December, and showing that you can't take Montreal lightly. They can beat you. Buffalo's right there too. 29 games. 12-14-3 record, 28 points, 466 points percentage. They are 2-3-1 in the month of December. And what do I say about Buffalo? Every game, every preview, they need to get it going. So we'll see if Buffalo can get that done. But again, for Buffalo now, you've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams you need to pass to make it into the playoffs. This is where, even though we still got a lot of hockey left, it gets very, very difficult to move up. Then you got Columbus. They've played 30 games, 9-16-5 record, 23 points. So they're 8 points out of the playoffs, and they've played more games than teams are catching. That's not a formula for success. 383 points percentage, 2-3-1 in the month of December. And again, they're playing spoiler at this point. They definitely, players, they don't tank. GMs might, players don't. So you have to bring your A game against Columbus. Ottawa's at the bottom of the standings with 22 points, but they've only played 23 games. They're 11-12 in those 23 games. So points percentage-wise, they have a 478 points percentage. The problem is, if they keep producing points at that rate, and they're 3-3 in the month of December, so the December schedule has not seen them really jump out and start to push their way up the standings. But if they can improve that points percentage, you just pass Columbus, you pass Buffalo, you're not above anybody else in the East. And for Ottawa, this is a season where there's pressure on them to get better. So we'll see if they do or they don't. But the East is fantastic. Like, this is a tough call. You have the Islanders in the playoffs, where some didn't think they'd be. Philadelphia, no one expected Philadelphia in the playoffs. Detroit was seen as a maybe before the season started. And the Capitals, well, they're kind of tied to the Penguins. And both teams were down last year. While Pittsburgh's still kind of down, they have 4 less points than the Capitals. They've played 2 more games, but the Capitals are playing well. Now we go out west. And out west, you have the Colorado Avalanche, 28 games, 17-9-2, 36 points. They lead the division, 643 points percentage, but they're 2-3-1 in the month of December. It's been a tough go for Colorado lately. We'll see whether or not they turn things around. On the Dallas side, they're 16-8-3, 35 points in 27 games. Their points percentage just a touch better than Colorado's at 648. They're 3-3 in the month of December, and Dallas has been very inconsistent up and down. But again, when your team is near or at the top of the division, you can be a little bit inconsistent here and there. It's not really a big deal, depending on how far above the playoff line you are. And for Dallas, they're 8 points above the playoff line right now. Winnipeg, 27 games, 16-9-2 record, 34 points. Their points percentage, 630. So before that loss against Winnipeg, or against San Jose, they're right there. Now, the loss against San Jose, as glaring as it looks, they're still 4-1 for the month of December, and they have absolutely caught up to both Colorado and Dallas. And so while some eyebrows were raised about where they were on the power rankings, I've been watching as Winnipeg has been playing very, very well for weeks. The game against San Jose does make me nervous for 2 reasons. 1, you need to have that win against San Jose because tonight they're in LA. And 2, without Kyle Connor, that's 14 goals out of the lineup. You got to replace that somehow. The leading team in the Pacific is Vegas. I think they're going to be the leading team the whole way through. They've got a 6-point cushion. They've played 30 games, so there's teams behind them that have played less. But the 25-5 record, they have a 750 points percentage. They're tied with Boston for the best points percentage in the National Hockey League, and they're 5-0-1 in the month of December. Very solid run for Vegas so far this month. For Vancouver, they're second in the division with 39 points, 19-9-1 record. They're 4-1 in December. Things are going quite well in Vancouver. It's a surprise to us as well. 672 points percentage. I can't say anything bad about them. I really can't. The points percentage almost identical to Toronto's and a little bit ahead of the New York Islanders and a few of the others on the board. And yeah, Vancouver, really strong record. The LA Kings, points percentage-wise, the second best team in the West, but they've played 25 games. Again, tonight they're at home against Winnipeg. They're 16-5-4 overall, 36 points, 720 points percentage. They are 3-1-1 in the month of December. So for LA, coming back home, we'll see how things go for them. Record winning streak to start the season on the road, 11 straight road wins. They lost their last 2 games at the end of the road trip. Now they come home and Winnipeg's waiting for them. It's a tough schedule. Then you get Nashville, the number 1 wild card, 16-13 for 32 points in 29 games, 552 points percentage. A 5-2 record in the month of December. So yes, it is notable that to make the playoffs in the West, the points percentage is lower than it is in the East. I think we understand that there might be a team in the West that makes the playoffs that would not if they were in the East. I'm sure we'll have that discussion as the season goes along. Will it be Arizona? Well, Arizona's had a bit of a tough time lately. They're 13-13-2. They've got 28 points in 28 games, 500 record, but they're 2-4 in the month of December. So things were going pretty well for the Coyotes. It's an 82-game schedule, though, and it's tough. It's not easy. So if the Coyotes end up being a 500 team this year, that's fine. That shows progression. The Oilers may be the one to knock them out. The Oilers have won 8 in a row now. They're 13-12-1 overall, 27 points in 26 games, 4-0 in the month of December, and a 519 points percentage. So that points percentage puts them ahead of the Coyotes on that scale. The one reason I don't rank them by points percentage, though, you have to win those games in hand. It's fine to have games in hand, but you got to win them. And so it's something we've talked about in previous years, and we've seen instances where teams have a bunch of games in hand and then just lose them. So that's why I'm not going to use points percentage to rank teams. St. Louis, so fresh off firing their coach, let's discuss. 28 games, 13-14-1 record, 27 points. 482 is their points percentage. They are 1-5. In the month of December. So it's been a tough go for St. Louis recently. They've lost 4 in a row, looking to turn things around, hoping a change behind the bench helps. Calgary, 29 games, 11-14-4 record, 26 points, 448 points percentage. So for the teams in this part of the board, getting back into the playoff hunt is possible, but it doesn't look very probable. There is one exception we'll get to. We're not there yet. So for Calgary this month, they're 1-4-1. And on back-to-back nights, first in Denver and then in Las Vegas, they had leads going to the third period and then ended up losing those games. Now, it's not shameful to lose in Denver or in Las Vegas, but when you got the lead, you've got to get those points. And when you look at their record, if they had won both of those games, right? So they'd be right here if they had. So Calgary still having some trouble, while the Edmonton Oilers are just climbing very, very quickly. Seattle, 30 games, 9-14-7 record. I'm not doing a video on them today because they stopped their losing streak at 9. 25 points in 30 games means they have a 417 points percentage. They are 1-4-1 in December. They finally get that win last night against Florida. We'll see how that helps them going forward. And then Minnesota. So the exception in this part of the board, I think Minnesota can get back into it. 26 games, 10-12-4 record, 24 points. They have a 462 points percentage. They are 3-2 in the month of December. And I have faith that they can get back in the hunt and maybe do something if they get into the playoffs, because nobody will expect much from Minnesota if they make it into the playoffs. So looking at it, they are currently 4 points back of the Coyotes, keeping in mind that Edmonton's right here, and Edmonton's probably going to win and get above that playoff line soon enough. So for Minnesota to make the playoffs, they have to pass Seattle, Calgary, so that's doable, St. Louis, and then they have to hope for Nashville to drop off in all likelihood, right? Because I don't think Edmonton's going to. And of course, then you got to pass the Coyotes as well. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but I do think it's possible for Minnesota. I understand the coaching change being made when it was. San Jose, 29 games, 9-17-3 record, 21 points. They now have a 362 points percentage, 4-1-1 record in December. It's all hard work. It is all hard work from the San Jose Sharks, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see that after a really tough 0-10-1 start, they've managed to get their record better. But keep in mind that they are still 7 points back of a playoff spot while they've played more games than some of the teams they're chasing. And so the math doesn't work out well for San Jose. But for the players in that locker room right now, they've got to feel pretty good about their job playing spoiler. They're not feeling as well in the Anaheim locker room. They're 10-17 overall, 370 points percentage. They have 20 points in 27 games, and they're 1-3 in the month of December. So for Anaheim, things have really not gone the way that they would want them to. And then you've got Chicago, 28 games, 9-18-1 record, 330 points percentage. So points percentage-wise, Chicago's now the worst in the NHL, 19 points in 28 games. They're 2-4-1 this month. So again, the month of December showing they're going to win occasional games here and there, but Celebrini could end up being a Hawk, and I'm sure everybody would be, well, understanding if that happened and supportive and say I'm glad for that. But at any rate, there you go. All 32 teams discussed, and I got it done in about 16 minutes of time. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, which teams do you think are outside of a playoff spot right now, who end up in a playoff spot when we reach April, and which teams are going to drop out? Which is the biggest surprise, both positive and negative, for you so far this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.